All right, Dominicus here. Twin Flame Part 3. Okay, so where we were, if this is the first video you guys are seeing, I did 2 other episodes before this one. They're both about 30 minutes long, each one. So go back and watch those first 2 videos, and then catch up with this third final version, which will be a lot shorter version because I am in a point in the story to where I can pretty much wrap it up pretty quickly because we were pretty much done with the last video. But I've got to do this third video so that I can put periods and punctuations and wrap it all up together for you guys. So we recently broke up. I think that we'll probably end up staying friends in the long run over this, but like there's been some issues. Like I've felt very hurt by a lot of her lack of attention or lack of feeling like we needed to be together, because I loved her very much. I still love her very much, but I can't go through this process and I can't grow if she's not going to be able to grow with me. So we're kind of vibrating at different frequencies, so we've kind of vibrated each other out of our sphere, each other's sphere. And I've realized that, like, for a little more than a week, it's been almost 2 weeks now, that I've realized since this started to go south, this relationship, that she, and I'm not going to get into like particulars because this isn't about he said, she said, or they're right, they're wrong. Like, you know, I have, and I've learned a lot through this. You know, I've learned a lot about love, a lot about spirituality, what love is, and I still have great respect and love for her. I just think that she hasn't been as respectful as she could have been, and I don't think that we're vibing on the same level. Because originally I wanted to do a lot of this kind of stuff that I'm doing now with the videos and stuff, with her. I wanted to bring her along for the ride, and I wanted to tackle this more as a communal type experience and not so much a singular experience, which she's done a lot of singular types of activities related to and revolving around herself, and not so much us together. Like, I'm like, it's okay if you want to do some stuff by yourself and whatnot, but originally when we started this, we wanted to do a lot of this spiritual teaching and a lot of this twin flame kind of stuff and story together as you know, as a couple, so that you guys could hear both points of view, which, you know, she might end up doing a video, she might end up finding out about this video, and she might end up doing a other side of the coin perspective of this. She's a lot more of a quiet type person and doesn't let you know a lot what's going on in her mind and in her realm, where I'm the exact opposite. I'm a very self-explanatory type person, and I can't help it if, like, she's not feeling the same feelings that I feel, you know? And so there's nothing that I can do, you know, to change that. And so I had to realize that I needed to not feel like, since she was backing up and I felt her pulling away, that I felt like she was pulling away for a certain reason, which ultimately, you know, she has the right to do. She has her free will, and maybe, you know, some twin flames are not meant to be in each other's lives forever. Like, this is meant as to be the person who's going to help you expand consciously and spiritually the most as possible. So that is not an easy thing to do. You have to go through a lot of darkness and a lot of demons and a lot of, you know, within yourself, about bad parts about yourself, negative traits or aspects of yourself you need to go through to be able to take the full benefit that this experience can provide. And I think that you need to give thanks to the other person and have respect for them and show gratitude. There's a very good spiritual teacher that I like on YouTube. We won't specify who that is, but he's one of the more popular ones. He's has a very large following, pretty famous in the spiritual world. And there was a lot that I learned from him about the twin flame connection, and I learned a lot about how I needed to be handling this experience. So I'm very, very much appreciative to this person for doing YouTube videos, which, you know, basically inspired me to do videos, because, you know, I just want to be inspirational in people's lives. That's what I believe, you know, my mission is to help as many people as I can along this turbulent path that we call life, you know, because it's not always roses and rainbows, you know, even though, you know, we would like it to be that way. So, you know, once you have a person that's not willing to accept what it is that you have to tell them, or think that, you know, or respect you less because they don't believe that you have anything to offer them, then you're gonna vibrate at different frequencies, and they're gonna, the universe is going to vibrate them out of your life just as quickly as they vibrated you into your life, or you vibrated them into your life, which I was just barely starting to love myself when this all happened. Like, I had quit looking for love for like 4 months, which I've never done in my life. But I finally was content with helping people spiritually, and finally loved myself. And as soon as I did that, boom, twin flame shows up. As soon as I quit looking for a mate, boom, twin flame showed up. So yeah, you will have to do the same thing too. You will have to love yourself enough to be okay on your own, to vibrate this person into your life, and the universal, make it happen. Like, you got to do your due diligence to help the universe make this work and have them manifest into your life. You have to do your part too, and not ignore the signs that the universe is trying to tell you. Otherwise you might not be ready for this. And so, I went from loving myself to not loving myself through this whole thing pretty quickly, because I felt like there was a lot of comparisons involved, which were very much comparisons that were of my own making. Many of them, not all of them. I'm not going to say and take credit for all of that being all my making, because she most definitely had a role to play in that. But ultimately it let me grow consciously, through a lot of study and a lot of very intelligent people that I'm very grateful for, that are on YouTube, for making this all possible. Because a week ago I thought that I was going to take forever to pull out of this, because I knew that she was starting to pull back and be distant. There was a lot of promises that were made and anticipations that were made that were later rejected and rebuffed, so I started to feel very rejected and very unappreciated, and so it led me to go into a depression, which made me think about every aspect and analyze every aspect of this relationship even more, which ultimately I realized through, and albeit through a lot of her prayer as well, that I was able to get through this and see the light and see the error of my own ways that I was making in in all of this. So she's extended a lot of love that way, just not unconditional love, because she basically was like, well, I'm not gonna stop loving myself for you. Like, she's like, I'm still gotta be number one, which, you need to look out for you. Like, I realized this in the end, just maybe a couple days ago, that, maybe 3 or 4 days ago, maybe 5, that you're only going to be the one who looks out for you. And that love is not always unconditional, and it's not always a guarantee, and that it's always very possible that you can fall out of love just as quickly as you fell into love, in love, and so I felt very discarded, and I felt like a lot of stuff that I was trying to say to her so that she could grow wasn't being listened to. But I realized in the long run that what she was doing was something that I needed to do for myself, and that I had started to let this affect me and started to not love who I was and to question who I am and my purpose, which was something that I hadn't done in 6 months, or months, so I knew that when the gratitude wasn't being reciprocated, and I felt like my tank was being emptied more by her and wasn't being through means of my own self, like through me complimenting her constantly and telling her how great she was. She used that a lot to fill up her tank and validate herself, and for her own ego, for her own purposes. And then was kind of like, I don't need you anymore, kind of thing. And like we'd been through the ringer on this. I mean, we at one point did a twin flame video together, which I didn't think was that great because I didn't have any structure of what I wanted to talk about down, and we just kind of winged it, and it ended up being a disaster. And at the very end, she goes, at the very end of our first twin flame video together as a combination, she goes, Owen, I don't need his help anymore. I can do this on my own now. Something like that. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be a disaster. I'm like, this can't be a twin flame video telling everybody how right we are for each other, and then you go and say at the end of it that you don't need his help. So that was kind of one of the first red flags that went along with other red flags that I was like, wait a second, this is not right. And it just kind of continued to spiral out into her own direction, into her own sphere that she created for herself, and that didn't really include me. So, and I'll be the first person to say that I didn't want to mess with her individuality. Like, she can have her own identity and her own individuality. All I wanted was a little bit of mutual respect, and I felt like I didn't get that, you know? And towards the end of it, my mental state had been ran through the ringer and diminished very greatly. And I realized that I no longer had love for myself like I once did when I started this journey. So I knew that that was not good. And so I basically came home and to my apartment, and we started to spend less time together. We started to rescind back plans, like we were planning on moving in together, which she no longer wanted to do. And so I felt, very rejected and very hurt by that. And so that was a very hard thing for me to go through. But ultimately, the universe or her or someone was just showing me how to love myself, that I didn't need someone else to love me the way that I needed to love myself first, and things just kind of went a little bit haywire there. And it's not looking real positive at this point, that we're gonna get back together. It's looking like the universe, everything's pointing towards we're not gonna get back together. And if we do, it's not gonna be until some time for healing and some time for reflection occurs, because I don't know when that will happen, but I most definitely wasn't being heard, and she most definitely thinks that she's okay, without me. And if that's the case, then okay. I had kind of seen this coming some time back, and so as of now, we're not together anymore. It's looking like that anyways. Like, I went and picked up the rest of my stuff yesterday, and we didn't really talk about it that much, but I didn't hear back from her the rest of the day, and I knew when I left she was like giving me stuff like that I had not really asked for back, and she was like, here's your stuff, here's all of your stuff, type of thing. And so I knew that this was probably going to be it, that this was it, that she was done as well, because I had felt so much pullback from her that it was very offensive. It offended me, and I just totally was like, well, I'm not going to let her drag me down. Like, I'm going to continue to do what I was doing and continue on the direction that I was without her. And look at me now, I'm doing this YouTube video for you guys. So apparently whatever the universe had for me to learn, worked. And here I am. So that's been the twin flame relationship journey for me. This could be the end of this twin flame journey for this particular chapter. I think there's possibly that you could have more than one twin flame relationships. Maybe when you reach a certain vibration and a certain height, who knows, maybe that brings in the soulmate connection relationship after this. Because I think that once you get to a certain consciousness and a certain state or level in your consciousness, that we then start to seek out other people that vibrate at the same vibration as we do. Because there's energy wave formation. There's something called being in phase and being out of phase. And if you're not vibing correctly, then you're gonna not see things the same way, and you're not gonna be able to grow together. So until that certain level is reached, I believe some twin flames can figure it out and not get entangled like we have. But if you're not, basically, when you start to get entangled, if you're not loving that person more than they love you, and filling up their tank, trying to fill their tank more than they fill your tank, then you're vibing and you're out of sync, and then you're just gonna drift apart. And and so that's her destiny. Not saying that it's wrong. Her destiny for her could be right for her, and it could just not feel right for me. So I don't want to put that projection either out there that she's wrong. There's just some things that I think that she needs to address, but it could be, I suspect that it's things a lot deeper than what I know, because she's been very tight-lipped and very quiet about her feelings and hasn't talked very much, communicated with me very much. So, when that starts to happen, then things start to go through my head, especially being a deep thinker and an analyzer. When things, are starting to look bad, then I panic, and then I get out of sync with her, and then I start thinking negatively about myself and about our relationship, and that she's thinking all of these things when she might not even be thinking those things. So then all the negative thoughts are being picked up by her and the universe, and then you start to attract the negative things, because we attract, the law of attraction. We attract what we put out into the universe. So I hope that explained twin flame theory good enough, well enough. This is the end of and the final take in this series. This is number 3, and leave if you guys have any other comments or suggestions. I'm going to do a few videos on my spiritual guidance soul alchemy, so if you guys are interested in that, leave me a message in the comments, say you're looking forward to that, and we'll get that going for you guys. Alright, much love. I really appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to do this. Good night. Till next time.